Question for you. Why would documents related to the cost of lockdowns in Australia not be made available to the public? Like, it's not as if the information would damn the federal government. It would put into context how some state premiers and chief ministers have damaged their own economies when they lock down. And surely the public needs to know what the true repercussions are of a lockdown. To talk about this veil of secrecy, I'm joined now by Dr Peter Swan, Finance Professor at the UNSW Business School. Peter, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Chris, for inviting me.
Explain to us, why would the federal government, which openly despised state and territory lockdowns through this pandemic, not reveal how damaging they were economically?
Well, I think the government knows through these 38 highly secret reports that may never be revealed just how damaging it is, how many hundreds of billions of dollars have been lost unnecessarily, tens of thousands of jobs and businesses closed as a result of unnecessary lockdowns. So I'm sure the government knows, but it wants to keep it secret.
I guess in many ways it also shows how dysfunctional National Cabinet was, because no matter what the Prime Minister wanted to do or what the Commonwealth medical team wanted to do, state premiers and territory ministers did what they wanted to do themselves. The documents would be damning. How damning do you think they would be?
Well, one can, since they're so secret and many of them concern events many months or even years ago when this pandemic first started, everyone is secret. So they must presumably be very bad and very revealing. Some of them are right up to date, including issues over closure of international borders from India, things of that sort. So some are right up to date, and this, of course, is quite outrageous to fine and jail Australians up to 5 years for coming back to Australia. So, yes, it covers a very long period of time, and as you say, this cabinet system has been very, very dysfunctional, especially from the point of view of 25 million Australians.
How would you describe the government's secrecy over that, using the idea that these documents are the property of a cabinet meeting or a cabinet discussion, so therefore they can't be released?
Well, that is just an excuse, because at one point or other, just about every study, economic or otherwise, that the government requisitions is going to be considered by a minister or by cabinet. So they're asserting that these decisions have not yet been fully implemented based on this advice from these 38 reports. Well, I find that quite believable, because I suspect many of these reports would say that lockdowns are quite ineffective, and state-by-state comparisons of lockdown, non-lockdown states in the United States confirm that lockdown doesn't yield any benefits in terms of reduced death tolls.
Yep.
Often quite the reverse.
Yep, exactly. One final thing.
Many of these reports are extremely damning.
Yeah. One final thing. Am I right in saying that New Zealand were prepared to release the same kind of documents that they held?
Well, I know that New Zealand has been much more forthcoming than Australia. It's released a study on the effects of global warming policies, showing that the New Zealand policies are going to cause the New Zealand economy trillions of dollars in damages. Yet nonetheless, they've gone ahead. So New Zealand is much more open and accountable as far as public money being spent than is Australia. So I can well believe New Zealand is much more open, even though they're not heeding their own advice on global warming alarmism.
Some of us need to probably apply a little bit more pressure when we catch up with some of the leaders, which we all probably need to do right now. Thank you so much for your time, Peter Swan.
Well, thank you very, very much. Right, Chris. Bye-bye.